really encouraged to see this. Senator Peter Welch of Vermont, the junior senator of Vermont, after Bernie Sanders, went to visit Mosen Mandawi inside of immigration detention. He was taken when he showed up to his immigration hearing in court. He had known that it was likely that he would be detained because of his pacifist speech, speaking out against Israel's slaughter in Gaza, even as he wrote publicly about the scourge of anti-Semitism, even as he engaged with Jewish and Israeli students on campus at Columbia. It didn't matter. He's now being locked up for his speech. And we unfortunately haven't seen enough of this. Chris Van Hollen kicked this off by doing a really good thing, going down to El Salvador to try to see if he could meet face-to-face with Kilmar Abrego Garcia, confirm that he was still alive. And now you have members of Congress going down to El Salvador, drawing attention to that case, but other cases as well, including the hairdresser who is still locked up in this torture chamber, who was picked up presumably in California. But there's also, of course, the student activists who are being targeted, and just academics for daring to speak out against
tourists,
the genocide. Right. And so I want to see all of this. Like, we need to be seeing way more of this. I expect extremely little of the Democrats who represent New York State in the Senate, but it still is just incredible to me that neither Chuck Schumer nor Gillibrand are. I will be shocked. I will be shocked if they visit Khalil in prison.
No, they won't. Van Hollen has already gotten attack ads from AIPAC. Any member of Congress in the Senate that takes Israel money will not be. Here's a prediction: they will not be courageous or righteous on this. They will be cravenly and say, "Why are we focusing so much on this? Look at the markets. We should be focusing on how much the Dow Jones is dropping." It's
really important that we see more of this stuff. So I wanted to make sure we played a little bit of of Peter Welch's conversation with his constituent from ICE detention.
I'm here with our friend from the Upper Valley, Mohsen. We've been having a nice talk, but I want you to have a chance to explain to people how you're doing and what you hope to accomplish, and how is it you're staying so positive despite your circumstances?
Thank you for the visit. It really means a lot, and it reassures me of the support that I have from you and from the Vermonters as well, my people, the people of Vermont. I'm staying positive by reassuring myself in the inevitability of justice and in the deep belief of democracy. This is the reason I wanted to become a citizen of this country, because I believe in the principles of this country.
And you told me you were preparing for your citizenship exam that you thought you were going to take when you were detained. One of the questions you were going to answer, just explain that about rights.
One of the most important questions, the most important rights is the Bill of Rights, which includes free speech on the top of these rights, freedom of assembly, freedom of press, freedom of having religion or not having religion at all. And I learned also in this basically test that I had to study for, that the freedom of speech and religion and assembly is guaranteed to everyone in the United States, which is part of the foundation of this country.
Well, I want you to also, Secretary Rubio said you're a threat to foreign policy. Can you just tell us what you were hoping for and how you've worked with some of your Jewish brothers and sisters as well as Muslim brothers and sisters?
My activism, so they are, basically he is describing being anti-war as anti-Semitic. How could that be possible when my partners, most of my partners at Columbia's campus and beyond, are Jews and Israelis? My work has been centered on peacemaking. And all what I am doing, I am being a human. My empathy, as I mentioned before, extends beyond the Palestinian people. And my empathy extends to the Jews and to the Israelis. And my hope and my dream is to see this conflict, if one might say, to see an end to the war and end to the killing, to see a peaceful resolution between Palestinians and Israelis, how could this be a threat to anybody except the war machine that is feeding this?
It would be good for everybody.
Well said. All right, I think that's a good place to stop it. But it's just incredible. That's an incredible anecdote that he talks about, how was studying the Bill of Rights, and how the right to free speech and to political speech is supposed to be foundational in this country. So much so that the right that's now locking up pro-Palestinian demonstrators or anti-genocide demonstrators for their speech, that they're using it in the same breath, in the same political movement as they're doing it, right? So they understand the value of it. And then they preemptively will claim to be the arbiters of free speech as they do things like this, which is why, from even a political matter, it is so important to do, and for other lawmakers to follow suit with what Senator Peter Welch is doing, which is to expand on the moral clarity of standing up for people like Mohsen and for everybody that is being locked up right now for their political speech. And it's not by looking at polls and seeing what works, because we know now that based on, I think it was Pew Research or Gallup, but I think it's Pew, that the majority opinion right now in this country is negative views of Israel. And that's like 50% of Republicans age 18 to 49 and over 70% for Democrats in that same cohort. So like all of the folks that want to lead with polling first to see like which battles the Democrats need to fight for
Are insincere,
right? Because if they were actually engaging in that exercise, they would see that standing up to the Israel lobby would be an absolute slam dunk for them. And it's clarifying. It would clarify the issue for people who hear that the right cares about free speech, but may not hear about these other stories or may not be that engaged in politics. I'm just appealing to your own self-preservation, you idiots. But if an appeal to your morality isn't enough.
we're pissing away the Bill of Rights for Israel.
Yeah.
Like we're in a way, generations like that would. Other generation would find shameful, and we have this thing of it's the same way Republicans act like we're supporting women as they take away abortion rights.
Yep.
And the problem is our foreign policy, our bipartisan foreign policy, particularly vis-a-vis Israel, is an apartheid policy. And so, yes, when somebody like Mosen Mandawi works and models Israelis and Palestinians working alongside of each other, that is against our foreign policy, because our foreign policy is to remove Palestinians so Israelis can have more land. And you know what? It just so happens that all of our bomb makers get a nice big profit off of that too. So yeah, it's nice, but this needs to be way more. And I want to follow the tightrope of applauding everyone who does this and saying, where's the senator going down for Rumesa Ozturk?
Yeah.
Massachusetts. What's going on, Liz?
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren. Why has she not gone down and supported her there? Same thing again with the senators from my state, with Mahmoud Khalil, which is the biggest story on this front, arguably. Just
a child just born. He's in prison.
Yeah. Crickets. And I'm going to give, of course, Bernie Sanders and AOC some grace because they've been on this tour across the country during this period. I imagine their schedules are very full, and they've both been vocal on this.
And they mentioned it during the speeches, at least.
They did. They should still be. AOC. Do we have this poll? Maybe I just sent it to Sam. I'm going to send it right now. There's a new analysis here of AOC's favorability within the state of New York. If we could just go to the quote tweet and then go back to the one I just sent. AOC has the opportunity, I think, to run for president or to run for the Senate. But there are new numbers that just came out from Siena Research showing her poll numbers in the state. Her net favorability, go to the quote tweet and then even the quote tweet of that. So we'll just have to go back, right? So go down to her favorability compared to Schumer's. Plus 14. Plus 14 in New York State. Hochul's plus 1. She's climbed after she's been fighting Trump on congestion pricing. I mean, this negative polarization is saving this woman. She was kneecapping congestion pricing, then was kind of forced into implementing it, and now she's defending it against Trump and has gone up by 11 points in favorability. Schumer's minus 10. Trump is only 5 points worse than Chuck Schumer in a blue state, New York State. And AOC is plus 46 among Democrats, Schumer's plus 14. This is a real case for her Senate race, and she can make that case by going to visit and highlighting Mahmoud Khalil. Let's go back to some of these other results, too. When you see her favorability among black voters in the state, plus 37, plus 24 among Latinos. And the Bernie's campaign didn't do as well with black voters, and that's part of what was a hard thing for him to overcome. And then you had Democrats that capitalized on it, specifically more Southern conservative black voters.
States Democrats don't win.
Right. And this shows that she maybe has the capacity to even overcome that, right? And if Bernie were to run today and he was 10 years younger than he is now, I don't think that he would have had those same problems, honestly, that he did that first time around with some of those voters, because of people are more used to Bernie's policies and they've become pretty common sense for, I think, a lot of Democrats. But AOC has the opportunity, if she chooses to run in New York, to defeat Chuck Schumer. But if you see these numbers and expand on them on a national level, if that holds, not that level of support from black voters, but that level of trust that, if that expands across state lines, that's very good for her and puts to bed a lot of these nonsense claims about the popularity or lack thereof of progressive ideology.
And I would say puts in stark relief how unpopular being a shill for Israel is. Richie Torres plus 2% among black voters, because all he does is talk about anti-Semitism as he defines it, criticism of Israel.
Exactly. Wow. Chuck Schumer's minus 24 with Latino voters in New York State.
I mean, maybe it's getting through to some people that having the leader of the Democrats in the Senate of this country telling the press that his job is to keep the left pro-Israel, like, this is a farce. We don't have a democracy. These people need to go. And this is, and I do appreciate, back on the Bernie AOC thing, they're telling people to run for office, because these people that are currently in there cannot be trusted. Even though, we need to swamp Congress with a new set of people that are much more severe on this issue, to pull those people into line.
Yeah. That is a funny result for Richie Torres. In that broader poll, he's at 9% below Delgado, who was the lieutenant governor. And Torres being down there, that's a bad result for him. Like, I hope, I mean, it would be fascinating. I hope he goes through with running for governor and then maybe has to vacate that seat. Perhaps it opens up the opportunity for Jamal Bowman to run again, honestly, because he was in the district over. But
we're just checking to see here if Jeffries was in there, because that's kind of a funny. I mean,
my guess is this is polling for two races: potential Senate and governor.
Okay.
Governor, because Torres is is likely running for governor. Delgado is too. Yeah, so that's my guess. Is this is New York polling for the governor's race coming up and a potential Senate race.
By the way, don't give Hochul too much credit for the position that she's just found herself in, being the champion of congestion pricing, because she's still aiding and abetting the assault on people's free speech with regards to Israel.
Absolutely. And I would like to know what Delgado's positions are on that front, and if he's actually a difference with and because we know Richie Torres is probably worse than Kathy Hochul on this issue, although she's pretty bad. Is Delgado an improvement on that front? That might differentiate him in a primary, and perhaps he should be clear on that, because if this is just the field and they're all kind of the same type of politician, I mean, I think Hochul on name recognition and incumbency is gonna walk away from it with it. We love our incumbents here in the Northeast for some goddamn reason, specifically incumbent governors. They keep getting reelected.
Also, shout out Michigan, the Senate race there. Of course, we are for Abdul El Sayed.
Yep.
If Haley for Michigan wins by launching her candidacy, saying that she would support unconditional military aid and weapon sales to Israel, being an AIPAC supported candidate. If she wins, it's a huge problem, and I won't be quiet about it.
Cole from Michigan, AOC 2028, Swamp the Swamp. Well, she's leaving her options open. I mean, 2028 is also when Schumer is up. So any decision that she makes, if it's on the presidential or Senate level, is going to likely try to happen at the same time. And it's smart for her to continue to leave her options open. Randy Goldborg, China has canceled $13 billion worth of soybean orders. They made a deal with Brazil instead. There you go.
This whole thing where the Trump admin conditions people to think this short-term pain we're about to see get more and more acute is going to lead to some long-term benefit is for rubes. What we're going to have is a recession and worse and worse conditions for people unless we take control of the state and direct investment to social needs and not capitalistic ones.
Yes, but we will make Brazil great again.
Yeah.
I mean, China out there saying if you cut a deal with the United States of America, not that like there is any on the horizon because Trump is lying about all that shit. But if you were serious about it, say Japan, we're going to retaliate against you. And guess what? Look at a map. Which is Japan going to go with there?
Boom, boom, biddy. Slurs are okay if they start coming out when you're old. Is this all slurs or just gay slurs? I'm just saying there's a certain generation of older person that sort of loses their inhibitions as they get older. I'm not valorizing the Pope. I'm just saying that within the context of popes, he wasn't the worst. Dave from Jamaica, Matt, great point. If you're doing scripture debate, people are pretty close to the edge.
Look, it's worthwhile being familiar with the stories and the morality and lessons, but to say like these are signs of an antichrist, I think is what are we doing?
Nassau County spokesperson, phone banking for Zoran this Wednesday and Sunday. Go to his website to sign up. Yes, yes, yes.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.